Welcome to the Research Like a Pro question and answer series. This is Nicole Dyer, and today we have a video from Diana about using AI for research planning. And she will talk about some of the limitations and the benefits for using artificial intelligence chatbots like ChatGPT and Claude, Perplexity, and Gemini to help with genealogy research planning. So hopefully you'll have some ideas and takeaways for how you can get some help with your research planning, but also know that we need to use our own expertise, experience, and locality research to help us have really good research planning as well. So it's not something that the AI tools can do for us completely, but can perhaps be a coworker with us.
So, speaking of AI, I thought I would just do some tips on using it for research planning since that's our theme for the month. And when we ran our AI workshop, we had a lot of fun working with AI. And I came up with some challenges that AI can overcome with research planning. So, after we've done our timeline, sometimes creating the summary of known facts, you feel like you're doing a lot of duplicate copying and pasting from your timeline in Airtable into a table for your document or something. So I'm going to focus on this today and show you how I did that with AI. That might be kind of fun for you to try out. But things we won't talk about today that I also found that AI could help was writing a working hypothesis. And I found that sometimes I just always use the same types of ideas for my research, and AI gave me some thinking outside the box, some new ideas. I also found that often I use the same types of sources because I'm comfortable with them, I know they work, but I got some different ideas by using some AI. And one of the things that was really helpful was I had created a locality guide and uploaded that and asked AI, giving it my objective and my hypothesis and such, to take out some pertinent information and to actually create a research plan for me from my locality guide and all the information I'd given it. And that was really interesting to see and fun to see what it did differently from what I would do. And it also did some prioritization. So these are all challenges that we might have, especially as we're starting out. Maybe we just really don't know what to do. And AI gives us something to bounce some ideas off of. So I'll give you some tips and keys for working with it after we go through a little bit about the summary of known facts, but just some ideas to think of. So I had created my timeline in Airtable. And I was very curious to see if Claude, I used Claude, if Claude could take my timeline and then make a summary of known facts for me. So what I did was I took Airtable and just pasted the text in. I think I did a CSV, so you can download your Airtable, each table as a CSV file, and I uploaded that as the project text, and then told it you are an expert genealogist. I'm researching Isabella Weatherford Royston. Attaches a detailed timeline of her life events. From this timeline, you can tell I was typing fast. Extract names, dates, life events, and places, and create a summary in the form of the table. The table should have 4 columns. And then I told it exactly what my table should look like: date and location, person, specific details, and the source citation. And I was pretty surprised and happy that it did a great job. Here was the response that I got. And you can see here we have the date and location, just like I asked for, the person, the event, and then if I scrolled over here, you would see my source citation. So, of course, our next step when we are working with AI is to verify and say, well, did it actually use my timeline information? And it did. It did exactly the dates and the places and the people correctly. And that was because I had provided it with the information. If I had just given it some information about Isabella, maybe she was born in Missouri, lived in Texas, and in Oklahoma, it could have totally just made up a lot of things if I hadn't given it some specifics and told it what to do. So that was really helpful because if you've done the summary of known facts before, you know that usually you create a separate table and then you go into your timeline and one by one you put these pieces in. So I really like that it did that and it chose the basic facts. I had a few other facts in there, and so I was interested to see what it would pick out. And of course, I could always respond and say, I also want this information, or I also want all the censuses, that type of a thing. But I went with what it gave me. But then I decided to see if it could do some transformation with this, because one of the nice things about AI is it can put things into different formats for you. So then I wanted to see if it would give me a CSV file or a text file. And so then I asked it to create the CSV from that table. And it did it. You can see it's got all the same information and it has the commas separating the values, which is the CSV file. And then I wanted to have it put into, say, Microsoft Excel, put into a spreadsheet. And really interestingly, I asked, how do I do that? Because, I'm like, this isn't a spreadsheet. How do I get that into a spreadsheet? So I just asked it. And then it gave me all the specifics. So for Excel, for Google Sheets, for numbers, it told me exactly what to do, which was really fun. And I opened up Notepad on my computer and I just copied all this, pasted into Notepad, saved it as a CSV, and then I imported it into Excel. So then I had all that nice information in a spreadsheet. And then I could use that however I wanted to, if I wanted to keep it in a spreadsheet or if I wanted to have it be in a different format. So when I asked it if it would do a bulleted list, I also got a nice bulleted list and it had the source citation. I wanted to have the source citation so I could put that right into my project document. And then I was able to paste that in. And for this one, I did manually put the source citations in. And so I was able to pretty quickly and easily get a nice summary of known facts for my project without having to do any copying and pasting, retyping, and such. The only manual thing I really had to do was these citations, and I could have used another workaround for that, but for this one, I just did it manually. So, some tips and takeaways. What I found with doing the research plan was the AI, the large language model, does not replace your research experience or your intuition. I found that I have a good idea of how the research might unfold just based on my experience. But I did get some really interesting new ideas. A very key part of trying this out is to give it the the information it needs. So your research objective, the timeline, the locality guide, all the things that we use to create a good research plan. If you provide those with the model, then it can have something to work from and you'll have a more accurate, a more relevant, a better plan. So, you work in steps, doing one bit at a time. And then you can also just ask the model for feedback on your plan and ask if it has any other ideas for you. And it will go search all of its knowledge base. And maybe it has some good ideas based on what it's been trained on for your locality or other research people have done. So just an idea that maybe for research planning, your next project, you might want to dive into using AI a bit and see what it can do for you.